One of my 30 before 30 goals this year was to read one book. I know, a lofty goal, but I'm really not a reader, like, at all. So I thought setting out to read one book was an attainable goal for me. And I read not one, but two books, The Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. And today we're gonna talk about them, talk about my reading goal, talk about the books and see if I liked them. And spoiler alert, I've already started reading a third book. Who am I? So grab a blanket, get cozy, and let's deep dive and talk about this goal together. When I was making my 30 before 30 bucket list, I wanted to put some things on it that I knew could be attainable, but that would push me out of my comfort zone and really get me doing some things that I don't usually do. Reading is on that list for sure. I am just not a reader like at all. I really wish I was. I want to be, but it's just not something that draws me in all of the time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put on my bucket list just to read one book. That's it. I know I can do one book for the year. I picked this one. I thought it would be an easy win. It was. It was an easy win, but honestly it's May, and so this took me like 7 months to like cross this one off the list. A lot of people, they would have done this one first. But I didn't want to set a goal for like 10 books because I didn't want to feel too overwhelmed, and I really wanted to achieve my 30 before 30 bucket list. So I did one book. I read one book, and let me tell you, it started with The Heartless Hunter. My sister actually got me this book. She is so sweet, and she bought it for me, mailed it to me, just because she loved it so much, and she's like, I want you to read this. So she bought me this book, and about a month ago I got really sick and I was down in bed for like a couple of days, and I wanted to take a break from screens, so I wanted to fill my time with something a little bit more productive, and this was sitting on my bookshelf in my bedroom, and I was just staring at it like I could read right now. So I pulled out the book and I started reading. I hate starting a book. I hate that feeling of opening the first page of a book and being like, oh, I have to start this right now. Like, I don't know why I dislike that feeling so much. I love the feeling of being in the middle of a book and having a bookmark in there, and then like getting towards the end is so exciting. But being on the first page of a book is so disheartening to me for some reason. So it's just a very intimidating process for me. So, but I did it. I powered through the beginning. And I think what I was just most surprised about is that I was like really enjoying it. And it just depends on the book, right? Like, I think I've started a lot of books in the past that just don't suck me in. I remember being a teenager and reading Hunger Games, reading Divergent, reading The Selection for the first time, and just being totally sucked in. I would stay up all night and finish those books. Like, I think I read most of the Divergent series in a night. I read at least a couple of the Hunger Games books in one night, just staying up almost all night reading. So that feeling of just like loving a book so much and being sucked in is something I miss, and I just haven't really found books that I like can resonate like that with. And when my sister sent me this, I was really excited, and honestly it did pull me in quite a bit. Because I was sick, I had a lot of time to really get quite far into this book. I think I ended up finishing this first book in about 3 or 4 days. And then the second book, Rebel Witch, I ended up finishing. It took me maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. You can see this is actually rented from my local library. Shout out to libraries. If you have a library in your town, go get a library card and visit your local library and see if they have these books. Honestly, the library is such a great resource, and it's free. And then you find out if you like a book first before buying it. I did like the first book a little bit better than the second book. This series is a duology, which means that there's only 2 in the series. And the main character is a female main character. Her name is Rune, and she is actually an incredibly admirable female main character, which I really enjoyed. And that's what really sucks me into a book, is like how admirable and how much can I relate to the main female character. Because I feel like as a reader, which let me know in the comments if you do this, but when I read books, I genuinely like imagine myself as the main character. Like, I kind of try to put myself into her shoes, especially when it's written as like from their POV and you're hearing their inner thoughts and feelings. Like, I really kind of like adopt the main character's persona while I'm reading. That sounds so weird saying that out loud, but if you do that, let me know. Like, I feel like that's just a very common thing. So yes, at one point in my life, I thought I was Katniss, I thought I was Triss, I thought I was America Singer. Like, I just like really attach myself to the main characters. Okay, moving on from that vulnerable moment, but it follows Rune Winters, and this is actually, I don't know what to call this. I actually don't know what the like technical term is for this, but it is written from two different POVs. So you can see that at the top of the chapter, it has a name right underneath it. So it has Rune and Gideon. Gideon's the main male character. And every single chapter basically switches off between the two POVs, which I also really enjoyed. I feel like you don't always get to see the main male characters' like inner thoughts and feelings, and it just kind of like added to the romance of it all to see both of them and how they were feeling about each other from their perspectives. That was like really exciting. Like, it made me like giddy at some points. Basic synopsis. Rune is a witch, and she lives in a town in an island that hates witches. And Gideon is a witch hunter, and he is tasked with hunting down Rune, he doesn't know it's her, and killing her, basically. And she has this secret identity called the Crimson Moth, and she's also a very rich socialite by day, Crimson Moth by night. And she actually decides to court or try to date Gideon to try to get kind of into his inner circle and hear his secrets and things like that. And then obviously there's some romantic tension and love interest going on and things like that. But there's also fantastic plot twists and things I wasn't expecting in this book. It's incredibly high stakes, lots of great action. It really keeps you sucked in and keeps you reading because you just are dying to know what happens next. I really loved the writing style of this book. I feel like the pacing was really done really well. It felt steady, it felt deep, and it moved really well. I did cry. I cried at the end of this book. You just love the characters so much, and there is a part that got me really weepy. I was sitting here reading it with just tears streaming down my face. So that's how you know it's written really well and there's really strongly written characters, is that you can feel so attached to them that it makes you cry at the end. I actually love being that emotionally attached to characters. There were a few things that maybe I would have changed. Very little things though. First of all, the second book, I mentioned I liked the first one a little bit more than the second one, but that's only because it took a while to kind of get off the ground and get going. The first half of the book, I was like, when are we gonna get off this frickin' boat? If you know, you know. If you've read it, you know. But I was like, oh my gosh, we were on this boat for so long. The other thing is there are some reels and TikToks and things I've seen talking about this book, rumors saying like the female main character uses her period blood to cast magic. And let me just tell you that that's true. It is true. However, stay with me here. It is done very tastefully and it's written very tastefully. And how can that be so? Well, the witches in this world, the way they cast spells is using blood to draw symbols. At the time when witches were socially accepted, they would use little knives to make art on their skin to draw blood, to then use their blood to draw curses or to draw spells. Now witches are no longer socially acceptable, so anyone with scars, like they call them casting scars, is going to be killed or thrown out of the kingdom. Well, Rune doesn't have any scars because each month she waits for her period to come and then she collects her blood and then saves it so she can use it to cast spells throughout the month. You never see her do that. You never hear her do that. There's never a time in the book that she does that. It just briefly mentions that that's what she does, but there's not a scene that like graphically depicts that or anything else like that. So it's done very tastefully. It really is. It's not even like a huge plot point in the book. Like, I feel like it was brushed over quickly. It just kind of briefly mentions that that's how she doesn't have scars. So if that really bothers you, then maybe don't read this book. But I personally thought it was handled very tastefully in the book. I thought it was a very creative way for her to get around the casting scars and like not having those. I just, yeah, it didn't bother me. So, but that is true. That's part of her shtick. But overall, I really did love these two books. I thought they were wonderful. It had that early 2000s dystopian feeling that I just missed, and so I really loved it. So shout out to my sister. Thank you for recommending these to me. I loved them. And I would highly recommend them to you as well. I highly suggest reading these books. They were wonderful. That's coming from a non-reader. I really, really liked them. So, overall, also, I'm just really proud of myself for reading 2 books this year. I had to be extremely intentional with my time in order to get this goal done, and it feels really good to be able to check this off my list. And I've already started a 3rd book. Spoiler. I just started Once Upon a Broken Heart. Now, here's what I will say about this book. I'm not loving it. And someone convinced me to read this because I am maybe 10 chapters in and like so much has happened, but also like nothing has happened. It's just very interesting. It's a very strange place to start in the story. I feel like I missed a whole prequel book of Evangeline. I know Jax is in like Caraval or something like that, but I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. So someone convinced me to read this because I'm struggling with it. But these are really good. So here's to my 30 before 30 bucket list and crossing another thing off the list. If you also don't think you're a reader, maybe these will convince you. Or if you are a huge reader, leave your book recommendations in the comments below so all of us non-readers can be convinced to read some new books. I would honestly love your book recommendations because I feel like I'm picking this hobby back up. I'm getting back into it, and that just makes me really happy that I'm getting that mojo, my reading mojo back. My sister also recommended the book Powerless to me, so that might be the next one I read. I might ditch Once Upon a Broken Heart and just jump over to Powerless. I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for helping me with my 30 before 30 bucket list. Thank you for being here on the channel. I would love for you to join my little internet family. So go ahead and subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed it. Please comment down below your book recommendations, or if you have read Heartless Hunter, let me know in the comments below your thoughts, or if like when you cried, if anything shocked you in the plot. I'd love to know it all. Let's chat. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.